All right, so we are going to continue using area models and ratio tables. However, now, rather than using them to help us solve multiplication problems, we are going to be solving division problems, okay? And so in order to do that, it's just really important to think about how multiplication and division are related, and how, if I just take, I'm just going to take this scrap piece of paper really quick. If you just think of the simplest area model, okay, like 2 times 3 is 6, thinking about that you knew the factor times the factor and you found the product, okay? So 2 times 3 equals 6. Division is backwards. So it's 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So in this, you know the inside and one of the dimensions. Think about it. You know 6 and one of the dimensions, 3, but you are missing another dimension. And that's what you have to do is use this 6 and this 3, and I'll show you how, but to try to figure out what is that missing. In this case, it's the quotient, but when you talk about multiplication, it's like one of the factors, okay? So just thinking about how they are related will help you. All right, so let's go ahead. Now, we are using bigger numbers than 2 times 3 is 6. So let's go ahead and look at this sample problem, okay? So we have 128 pieces of candy being separated into 8 goodie bags. So for this, eight is one of the factors. 128, if you're talking about multiplication, that is the product. And you're missing another factor. You're missing up here. Now, when you use it now that we think about it like division, you read it backwards. 128 divided by 8 equals, and that's what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out the quotient. Okay, so we talked about making a SE as a smart estimate. Okay, so about 160 divided by 8. And I chose 160 because I know 16 and 8 would work really well together for division. 16 divided by 8 is 2 with a 0. So my answer should be about, so that squiggly line, approximately 20. Okay, that'll be important later just to make sure my answer is reasonable. So I like to guess and check, and another way to, I guess, think about it is to kind of like build up. So when I think of how does 8 go into 128, I need to fill the inside with 128, but it doesn't mean you need to do it all at once. You can build up, okay? So for example, how about 8 times 10? Well, 8 times 10 gets you 80. Not exactly the 128 we need. We need 128, but we just got 80. So let me get 80 out of there and see how much I still need. 8 minus 0 is 8. 2 minus 8, more on the floor, go next door. This is a 12. Minus 8, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So now I need 48 in the inside. And how do I get 48 in the inside? Well, let's think about it. 8 times what gets me 48? 8 times 6 gets me 48. So I got the 48 on the inside. I always put a big happy face to say, I don't need anything else. I need 0, okay? So let's go ahead and see what we did. 8 times 10 and we did 8 times 6. Together, 10 and 6 makes 16. So 8 times 16 got 128, or now let's read it as division. 128 divided by 8 is 16. So 16 is what I'm looking at now. A ratio table, we are going to be doing the same thing we did before. So making sure we always label. Okay, so one is going to be bags and one is going to be candy. Okay, and so we have 8 goodie bags. So 1, For this one, you could go all the way up to 8. If you want to use the core 4, they always talk about 1, 2, 4, and 10. But since we know we have 8, why don't we just do 8? 8 bags is, so this is different because you already kind of know the answer to how much you have. 8 bags is 128 pieces of candy. So if you know that, you're, instead of building this up the way we have before, now you kind of know this solution, but you're seeing how much is in each that you don't know. So what we can do is almost opposite. It's like opposite day. Opposite of what we did before. So before we built up, now it's built down. Well, if 8 bags is 128 pieces, let's half that. Let's go this way. Half of, or another way to say half is divided by 2, because 8 divided by 2 on the top, and let's do the same thing to the bottom, just like we do for equivalent fractions. 128 divided by 2 will get you this, okay? There's different ways you can do 128 divided by 2. In my brain, I just say 120 divided by 2 is 60, and 8 divided by 2 is 4, so 64. Or you can just really quick write 128 divided by 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times, that's 12. Bring down your 8. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and that's 8. Okay, so either way. Now, I know how many 4 bags has 64 pieces of candy. Let's half it again. Or another way to half is divide by 2. So if I divide the top by 2 and also the bottom by 2, and 64 divided by 2 is 32. And divide down by 2 again. And so 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 32 divided by 2 is 16. So we just figured out that 16 pieces of candy are in 1 bag. So again, there's that equation. We've been talking about writing the equation. 128 divided by 8 equals 16. So the biggest difference is, you know, we were building up before, we knew the factors and we were finding the inside. Now you know the inside and you're finding one of the dimensions. For the ratio table, we used to build up all the way to see what we could find. Now we already know what the end is, but we sometimes have to figure out splitting it up more and finding a unit. So just, it's same kind of thinking, but also changed a little bit. So hopefully this helped, and we'll do some practice today and tomorrow with this skill.